Louis Petrone back with the third segment of the Key West Lou Legal Hour. I thank you for joining me again this morning. I enjoy talking with you like this. If you notice on the bottom of the screen, periodically they're putting up Coming Soon, The World Upside Down by Key West Lou. I wrote a book, I've mentioned this before, and it's going to be published sometime in November. I don't know when. We're in the final editing process. I expect to see a mock-up any day, another mock-up of the book. But I got a book coming out. Not a big book, small book, maybe 140, 150 pages. And it's basically going to talk about the things I talk about here, but going back 7 years, because I've been writing a column for 7 years, and I took 30 of the best out of 250. They're really not the best because most of them I think are good. That's terrible to say that. But I took one here and one there about different subjects, and I think it makes for good reading. And anyhow, the book will be out sometime in December, The World Upside Down by Key West Lou. As we progress, I will tell you where it's available and if you want to acquire it, how you may do so. In the meantime, let's now talk about President Obama. He's taken a beating, maybe justifiably so. I supported this guy, but I'm beginning to wonder. There are a lot of screw-ups in his second term. It's a hard time, and with Congress it's hard. And he succeeds. This man does succeed, and I think that he could have had one of the greatest presidencies in history were it not for the Republicans bucking him at every step. Putting all that aside, let me talk about Obamacare very simply on two issues. The website, screwed up, glitches. I think that's terrible. I think heads should roll. When you spend $375 million for something, it should be perfect with a few little glitches. This is not perfect by any means and has a ton of glitches. But it will get fixed. It will get fixed. And people should not say this is what Obamacare is going to be like, because I believe universal medicine is a right. It's not a gift or a privilege in this country. Everyone should be under medical care associated with the government helping to pay for it. We don't want anyone left out when it comes to medical care. So, this will get fixed. And it's going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, it's going to be like Social Security, Medicare. It works. Nobody even talks about it. The people who are not covered, apparently Obama made a mistake. He said, you know, everybody's going to be covered. If you don't want to change, you stay with the policy you have. It's okay. We won't do anything. Turns out 20% of the people may ultimately be canceled from their present insurance. The 20% represent people who will have their own policies. It's between you and the ABC insurance company. 80% of the people in this country are in a group policy through their employer. Those policies are pretty good and meet minimum standards for goodness and for assistance. The people who have individual policies generally pay more, and they don't get everything they should. There are 10 standards that Obamacare sets forth. I don't know what they are, but every policy must provide these 10 things to the people of the United States. And the only way they can cancel is if the policies do not meet the standards. These policies have not met the standards, and that's why they're being canceled. The people are going to get better coverage, maybe for less, maybe for a little bit more, but it's going to provide them a lot more things and protections than they had before. Let me tell you about one thing that came up in my family this week. Individual policy. A child with a prior illness that could be reoccurring and very expensive. It was very expensive in the first instance. Impossible just about to get coverage unless you pay through the nose. It was obtained for a family of four, $18,000 a year. This man has to pay $18,000 a year with a $5,000 deductible because of what happened to his son, which could happen again. He has found, he got through, he went on the internet and he got through, he has found a policy which provides more protection for him at less money. For $7,000 a year and minimum deductible, he's going to get better coverage than he has been getting for $18,000 a year. That's $11,000 savings. So folks, before you complain, or any of us complain, let's see how this works out for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And I wish the Republicans would basically shut up and let's govern. Let's worry about getting jobs rather than knocking the president all the time. Okay, now let's talk about Obama again and the National Security Agency. I've already told you, our intelligence is absolutely wrong. They shouldn't be bugging the people, the citizens of the United States as they are, unless they're sure that me, you, or somebody's a spy or is an agent for a foreign government and we are going to do evil to our country. Spying on the Allies, spying on Germany, spying on Turkey, spying on Italy, spying on China. What the hell? This has been going on forever. Think back, folks. Every government always tries to grab intelligence from the other. You know, they bug offices, they bug telephones. This is going on even before the birth of Christ. Think back to Egypt and the pharaohs. They used to have men go to work and live in foreign countries, but they were spies reporting back to the pharaoh in Egypt. And the other thing that bothers me is every government knows this. They all know we do it to them, and they do it to us, we know. And we just are polite about it. We don't talk about it, okay? So it's hypocrisy. Hypocrisy when Brazil, a non-entity, says, the president says, I want a personal apology from the president. It's crap when Merkel, Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, she irritates the hell out of me. She has literally brought Europe to the brink. I don't know why. The economic problems are all Germany's fault. She presses to get that euro back without giving more reasonable collection efforts. Now she says, and she knew this, if you read up on this, you're going to find Merkel knew several months ago and told reporters and was on TV saying, that goes on all the time, we know. One government doing another, and the United States was bugging Germany. What she got irritated about was they were bugging her cell phone. Well, if they're bugging the government, they're going to bug her cell phone. They try to bug Obama's cell phone. Obama's supposed to have a bug-proof cell phone now. I don't believe it. Someday we're going to find out they were able to bug his telephone too. I think she's playing a game to make herself look good, make herself look tough. She wants to lead all these European nations. Right now she's moving for one army for all of Europe. And the Air Force and the Navy would be controlled by Germany. She keeps trying to build that base and expand the power of Germany. I don't like her. I'll tell you something else which I think motivates her. Sounds like bigotry what I'm going to say maybe. She grew up in East Germany, the communist, Soviet-dominated, controlled for decades of Germany after World War II. She grew up in East Germany. She's a hard ass. And I would assume that someone that is regimented as she is had to grow up under the communist dictatorship. That's all. I think we tap too much. We do it too much. I think we give up our rights. When we permit this to go on, I talked about this 2 years ago, I wrote a column on it. You can't, every time we give up this much of a right, we give up this much, because it gets bigger and bigger. We can't let this go on. We can't let the government tap all our phones and all our emails. It's a crock. This is to protect us. Why weren't we protected during the Boston Marathon? If they are so good bugging everybody's telephone calls and emails, how did the Boston Marathon occur? I think we got to stop doing this just in isolated cases. They got to open the doors. They got secret courts and everything else. They get a court order, but nobody opposes it. I don't understand. And if the judge didn't give it, he ain't going to keep his job. I'm going to tell you right now. One of the leaders of intelligence in our country, James Clapper, when asked about bugging, an officer of another country, said, "It's a fundamental given to determine the intentions of foreign leaders. To determine the intentions of foreign leaders, they do it to us. They all do it to us." He's in the business. He knows. Okay. I'm going to stay with some numbers quickly here. Some of them I have shared with you before. I believe they are worth repeating, and I may repeat them every week because I want to nail them in everyone's minds. They are important. Did you know there is one shooting, one school shooting every 11 days in this country? One school shooting every 11 days in this country. Congressional pensions are between $40,000 and $71,000 a year. Members of Congress, depends how long you're in office. Right now we have 527 people retired from Congress. Their average retirement salary pension is $55,000. Now let's look at Social Security. The average payment to a person receiving Social Security is $1,160 a month, $14,000 a year. Congress gets $55,000. Most people get $14,000. Not right. We're going to break again. Stay with me. I shall return.